Hi there, I'm Brianna Packen with A Distinctive Style magazine. We're here with the ladies from Post Black. Today I have with me
Regina Taylor,
Micki Grant, Carmen de Lavallade.
Well, thank you ladies so much for sitting down and talking with us. This is wonderful. Regina, what has it been like to work with these legendary, wonderful women?
yes, they are legends. They are our treasures. They are trailblazers. And they have inspired me in my career, and they've inspired me in my life, what they bring in terms of bringing all of themselves to their work, and also in terms of socially as well.
Ladies, now you've been around, you've been in the business for a very, very long time. What are the changes that you've seen? Ms. Grant, what are the changes you've seen?
Well, I use that quote from Lost Heart. Sometimes when he says the author's the only one there when the paper is white. And the changes I've seen, I could say I've seen happen on television, where you would be so excited if you saw a face of color doing something extraordinary, except bringing in a tray or standing behind the counter saying nothing. I've seen that change, and that's major. I remember my first acquaintance with Regina Taylor was in I'll Fly Away, which is something I simply wouldn't miss because I loved the character, you know, and the strength of the character, and what she brought to it. I've experienced a lot of firsts, and and when you go through, I can go through talking about even the commercial scene, handling commercials, and I've seen it with, well, we still don't have enough on Broadway in terms of directors and writers. That's very, very scarce. You can count them on one hand. And of course, the person I worked with, Vinette Carroll, who was the first woman to be nominated, first black woman to be nominated for the Tony, who was quite an extraordinary person, and extraordinary talent. And I owe her a great deal because we did a great deal of work together. But we're still looking for a lot more to happen in terms of Broadway, in terms of, you can count the choreographers, and certainly the directors on less than bad. And thank goodness for the other outlets.
What's so amazing is in your knocking down the doors. We were talking earlier about you're coming from Chicago. People not understanding the vision and the dream and the courage to leave your home place and go somewhere unknown and to go into unknown territory, unexplored territory. What we have here are astronauts.
You talk about dreams.
Yes. Yeah, following your dreams, following your heart. And you are doing things that people couldn't imagine an African American woman doing in the field of writing, producing, directing. Just really phenomenal.
Well, you almost had to do it for yourself.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't the case of just following your dream, but sometimes having to make your own dream happen.
That's right.
For yourself.
Ms. Lavallade, what has it been like to live your dream? To make these trailblazing, breaking down boundaries, all of the things you've seen and done.
Well, I was born in Los Angeles, you know, and your whole life was mainly Hollywood and movies. And I started out as a dancer at a Lester Horton Dance Theater. And from there, you know, I've done Broadway, I've gone to the opera, I've done films, I've done television, I've done nightclubs. I don't know, it was one of those things that I've never really planned it. It just sort of happened, but I'm always up for a challenge. And finally, I ended up at the Yale Repertory Theater teaching the actors movement and became a member of their company. And that was the biggest challenge for me because of the use of the voice and translating. I was happy on stage. I was perfect on stage, knew comfortable. But when it came to the voice and that whole transition of, see, in dance, everything is much more, it's like the army. And it's very compartmentalized. Everything is absolutely perfection. And I found with the acting that there's a freedom that we don't necessarily, well, you have and you haven't in the dance. It's a little different world. But I found it helped me when I went back to my dancing because I still move. Let's put it that way, not dancing, but move and combine the acting and movement quite a bit now. But it's like working on this role of Pearl. And I thank Regina for this because it helps me to let go, you know. And I keep going back into that dance world of regimentation, you see, and you can't make mistakes. And I love actors for that because if they make a mistake, they just stay in the character and they just keep going, you see. So I have lots and lots more to learn. And I have seen, as far as the mix and to see the mixture of people now. When I was coming up, you couldn't dance with mixed. You couldn't do that in any place. Or you could only be a dancer, you could only be a singer, you could only be an actor or whatever, a musician. You never combined, ever, ever, ever. It was verboten. It was considered bad taste, or you would look, you know, if you dare cross the line, people would, you know, wouldn't take you seriously. But now it's wonderful. You know, you could, yes, and you can, you know, yes, and you can, you know, the kids and they're all, everything's beginning to mesh, and I find that very exciting. You know, you can agree or not agree with some things, but it's really lovely to see the young people all mixed together and work together. Yes, there's a lot to do. I would like to see more writers and directors, so that because there's lots more to tell, and the freedom to tell it.
When I started, my first show, I was a singer who could move. Yeah, because singers were singers, dancers were dancers, actors, you know. And I've always said, and it's true, that dancers are the most disciplined performers in the theater, and that's true. You come in the morning and they're already there, stretching, preparing, and
well, you almost have to. You know, there's no out on that.
So I've always admired that about the discipline.
Regina, what made you make the transition? You're among many things, an author, a very established playwright. And you started out as an actor, an actress, or?
I started out as a writer. I've always written since I was a child. I write children's books. And it was my mother sitting down with me with pencil and crayons and construction paper and creating these stories that were from my perspective, an African-American child. It was, I think, the greatest gift that she gave me was the empowerment to know that you could create your own world. And it is your imagination. Nothing stops you. Nothing limits you. The only limit that you have is the limits of your own imagination. So it's been a wonderful life to be able to expand on that thought with acting, with writing, with directing, with all these different creative forms, and to have the opportunities that these ladies know are very hard earned. And so it's with great pleasure that I work with them, that come as writer-director, but also a person who has learned so much from each of you in this process. And it really is about the process of the work, how you handle the work, but also how you handle life. This piece, Post-Black, asks a question about the relevancy of the color of one's skin in today's society. And there is a generation that feels that being black has no relevance at this moment in time. There are arguments to be had about that. But certainly from the perspective of Pearl, who is 110 years old, she carries that history, this long history, that in this moment of confronting this post-black generation, she has to summon her past and look at her present and then look ahead to the future. It is this song, this voice that comes from her about continuing on and what that looks like.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. Regina Taylor, Micki Graham, and Carmen de Lavallade. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.